Francis Ontomwa, KTN News.
And as usual, joining me at this point in this segment of the show, I have Joe Halende, who is a lawyer. Good morning, and thank you for joining us. We'll also be joined by Nerima Wako Ojio as we carry on. But Joe, of course, very sad and very tragic, the accident. But again, that Mai Mahiu Road, Narok Mai Mahiu Road is one that is becoming notorious.
Yes, actually.
For accidents.
Yes, actually, if you listen to the story from the
Francis.
You could hear that it's due to miscommunication and negligence on the part of the driver.
This was human error.
Yeah, human error, pure human error, and we are losing life.
Absolutely. And that reminds me, because we seem to act on things when things happen. Has anything been done on the road, Sachangwan? Around Sachangwan area? I know there was that, huge operation that was supposed to be done and development in that area to make the road a dual carriage. I've not used that road for a while. I don't know, has anything been done?
I normally use that road and there's nothing being done. Actually, there's just some presence of police men, but there's nothing concrete being done, like the expansion of the road to, was it something dual carriage, like up to 7, but up to now nothing is being done, nothing concrete.
Nothing concrete has been done, which is rather unfortunate that we're at a point where we do things only at an emergency. I've also used the Narok Mai Mahiu Road, but I've not used it now for, say, about 6 months. And the last time I used it was a very nice road in terms of well tarmacked, well done, apart from cows that, keep crossing the road once in a while. But I hope the road is also still good.
Yeah, the road is also still on good condition, but actually this accident happened where there was some construction going on. And there was a miscommunication between the person who was directing traffic and the driver.
And the driver.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, rather unfortunate and very sad. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are with the families that have lost their loved ones. Now, operations in Kabazi Hospital in Nakuru County have been paralyzed following a pay row between casual workers and the hospital's administrator. The workers were sacked in what they say is unclear circumstances, forcing patients to seek services from other hospitals. George Maringa with this report.
A gate locked with a chain and padlock is what greets patients at the Kabazi Level 4 hospital in Nakuru County. Patient seats are empty, a situation witnessed in the wards as well. The hospital administrator Edward Omondi's office remains under lock and key, with this notice pasted outside his office. Omondi is said to have sacked casual workers in the hospital under unclear circumstances and allegedly later proceeded on leave, leaving the health facility operations paralyzed.
Akatuita chairman, alikuja akatuambia atauliza administrator, naye ni chairman wa hapa wa board. Sasa mwenye tunaambiwa time yao imeisha.
The casual workers, however, claim that they were laid off after they complained of unpaid salaries for 2 months. Patients from the hospital sought service in Subukia and Bahati.
Wale walichoka na wakaenda kutafuta matibabu mahali kwingine. Sasa sijui walienda wapi.
Yenyewe hapa kama iko watu ya kufanya kazi hiyo ya kuzuia watu kwenda. Watu walikuwa napenda hapa sana.
Previously, the hospital equipped with modern equipment could attend to between 200 and 300 patients daily.
Nimefikisha mambo yote kwa waziri. Alafu nikaenda pia nikamwelezea governor. Nikamwambia governor, ningependa ukuje ujione ndio tujue ni nini tunafanya.
Both the administrator and the medical health officer in charge of the facility could not be reached for comment, and patients remain unattended as Kabazi Hospital remains shut. George Maringa, KTN News.
The country is facing a shortfall of 155,000 teachers in public institutions. Primary and secondary schools have the cumulative deficit of 104,821 teachers. This even as the Teacher Service Commission says it is unable to hire more teachers due to lack of funds.
The Teacher Service Commission says it has nearly 300,000 unemployed teachers in its register. Yet the country has a shortage of 155,605 teachers. But to explain the irony of the unemployed teachers exceeding the shortfall of trainers by half, the Teacher Service Commission says it does not have money to hire. Commission Chief Executive Nancy Macharia on Tuesday told Parliamentary Committee on Education that despite requesting for about 10 billion shillings to hire 20,000 teachers annually, only 2.5 billion shillings was availed to employ 5,000 teachers.
We've done some bit of studies, and quite a number of teachers are either working as waiters in hotels, motorbike riders, securities, and this is shameful to the teaching profession. It's going to kill the profession if they're not being engaged.
If every time we are given 5,000 teachers annually, we do not even know how to distribute them.
So I want the CEO and the Ministry of Education to know that this committee, we accepted the 20,000 teachers, the interns, so the ball is with the National Treasury. And I think we'll follow up the matter to ensure that that issue is actually...
The Commission has further lamented the failure by Parliament to approve a further 5 billion shillings to recruit an additional 12,000 teachers to enhance 100% transition beginning this year.
I think we are overburdening our teachers. Much as we ask more from them, how are the teachers being supported?
Nancy Macharia further denied allegation that the ongoing mass of transfer and promotion of teachers was based on ethnicity.
That now promotions in different regions are done based on the ethnic group. So if you are the person of that particular place, you are unlikely to be promoted. And somebody from outside, chair, I'm addressing you, is promoted.
It is possible with such a, nebulized policy, chair, that one ethnic community can supply teachers for all institutions in Kenya.
On her part, Education Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohamed updated the committee on teachers who fled Wajir County.
There is an exercise that's ongoing of recruiting teachers for Wajir. We agreed that we would actually get curriculum assistance, 1,200.
However, both Amina Mohamed and Nancy Macharia were in agreement that the safety of teachers is paramount, saying the government would not hesitate to pull out teachers from areas deemed volatile and insecure.
Because you cannot wait to see your teachers suffer, and then you are also asking from them too much. You must be like a parent. You are asking them to perform, yes, but when also they are in adversity, you are there to take care of them.
To find a way forward together with my colleagues from Interior to see that the security that is required is put in place, but also the measures that were agreed in 2015 to support the stay of teachers in northeastern region, that those measures are actually put in place.
Shadrach Miti, KTN News.
All right, and a quick reminder of the question that we're interacting on this morning, because that is the basis of the question. Do you believe government's effort to alleviate teachers' shortage in public schools are realistic? Do you believe that the government efforts to alleviate teachers' shortage in public schools are realistic? Do let us know what your thoughts are. The hashtag is Morning Express KTN. If you'd like to tweet, it's at Michael G. Gitonga or at KTN News. And we'll be reading your comments as they come through. So for now, also joining me on set is Nerima Wako Ojiwa, the CEO for Siyiapei. Good morning and thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
And let's start with now the teachers' row and the fact that on the Daily Nation, I see that TSC now is free to hire 88,000 new teachers. This is according to members of Parliament having passed that in Parliament yesterday in regards to that. Joe, your thoughts on whether the government is actually making strides and efforts to ensure that we have enough teachers?
Yes, the government is making strides, but we need to push more higher, because you can see, actually there's no shortage of teachers. What is happening is that we are not able to employ enough teachers, because TSC has a register where we have like 200,000+ qualified teachers who are ready to be employed, but we are not able to employ. That's why you are seeing the MPs have given the commissioner go ahead to employ teachers, but are only employing 88,000, despite the fact that we are short of 106,000 teachers. So I think the government should just do something, should add something.
A bit more. And I guess it's more to do with also the finances that are available. But again, Nerima, education is one of those areas that we must, as a country, put focus on and give it as a priority.
Definitely. I mean, you can compare countries that take education seriously in terms of teachers are first-hand interaction with children. Children learn so much from their teachers. And even for me, I'm sure even Joe as well, you remember your class teacher who actually helped you when you were in primary, who believed in you, who encouraged you. Right. And you also remember those who discouraged you and those who actually made you dislike particular subjects and fields because of that individual. So teachers are very important. And I think that in this country, we do not treat them with as much as respect that they deserve. Because as much as we talk about empowering the children, empowering the youth, we must empower our teachers as well. So I don't think that it's something that, it doesn't make sense to add more teachers as much as they're needed, while the teachers that we have actually need more when it comes to
equally compensated or taken care of. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's quite a difficult, complicated situation, because even when you look at other counties, when you go further west or even northern Kenya, we have classrooms that are missing teachers. And then you even see where students who have finished school and unemployed are teaching.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, of course, the question then might be, where do we start? Because I remember us looking at some stories where you have even students that learn outside. You know, they don't have classrooms, and there seems to be so many things that need to be sorted out in the education sector, that teachers is one of them, and it's an important one, but the question is where to begin. And again, I don't know what happened to the laptops that were to be given to students. That seems to now be a forgone story, but quite a number of issues are surrounding the education sector.
Yeah, our education sector, we have made some steps compared to other countries, where we are at a point where when we discuss our education sector, we discuss about the quality of the services we offer. It's no longer about people missing out to class, there are no classes. It's about quality. And when you talk about quality, you try to look at the facilities you have and what are you offering in terms of education, in terms of the syllabus, in terms of the curriculum. So what the government needs to do, needs to put some things in order, stop the wastage. Like when we had the story that the manufacturers of books were producing books, syllabus which was not supposed to be taught. Now you wonder how.
How do we get there?
How do we get there? Yeah. So I think there's something needs to be done. But one thing I'm happy about it is that our education system, when we talk about quality education. And where we are failing, like, for example, the strikes, the ongoing strikes with the lecturers, because our university students have been out of school for quite some time. Remember, during the election period, now the strike is going on. Those are the things we are talking about our education system. Yeah.
And it's very unfortunate. But anyway, like you mentioned, and like you mentioned, Nerima, teachers are definitely a very important and integral part of our education system. And if they're not taken care of, then of course we leave our children. And anyway, children, I think, spend more time with teachers than even their parents.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's interesting that teachers know much more about the children than the actual parents.
And well, students also know a lot about their teachers. You talked about remembering teachers. I don't know which teachers you kind of remember in your mind, but I remember one in secondary school who was called Ngweta. You know, the other thing is that you nickname them. Of course, they all had nicknames depending on what they do. And Ngweta, by the way, was not his name. It's just that he was from a certain part of Kenya, and he could not say greater, so he used to say Ngweta. Yeah, 5 is Ngweta than 3, so he was nicknamed Ngweta. I don't know, Joe, do you remember your teachers?
I remember my geography teacher in high school when we used to try to explain something in geography. When there was some topic to do with folding and faulting. So he had that problem.
He couldn't pronounce the folding and faulting.
Like, I'm talking about faulting with a T, not faulting with a T. Now you're like, what?
Nerima, are there specific teachers you remember?
I just remember my chemistry teacher. When we would mix chemicals and that would be like bubbles instead of bubbles. So you'd get a kick out of that. And that would be
and teachers, of course, it's because we respect and remember you. But, of course, some of those pronunciations would come in the way. It's now 17 minutes after 6. Let's look at other stories. And with the reports of a rise in criminal gangs in Likoni area of Mombasa County, a human rights group, Muhuri, claims older criminals are training juveniles who, in turn, are forming their own gangs. This comes in the wake of accusations against officers colluding with the gangs. Francis Mtalaki reports from Mombasa.
For weeks now, criminal gangs have terrorized the residents of Likoni, But the interventions of the police, human rights groups and peace committees, the situation seems to have improved for now. However, the report released by Muhuri, a human rights group, exposes the operations of many criminal gangs.
The biggest element to this is the abuse of drugs and substance abuse.
It is alleged that there is a major criminal gang in each ward in Likoni. The biggest in Shikadabu ward, for example, is Wajukua Nyanya. Young Thugs is the gang in Timbwani ward, Watalia in Mtongo ward, and Chaka to Chaka in Bofu ward.
We are going to have interactive forums between the CSOs, security agents, the community, and other stakeholders to refine our civic awareness among ourselves.
And we have noticed that 80% of police officers, they walk around with guns, full combat, but without even number.
These are said to have given the rise of more than 63 juvenile gangs that operate only in Likoni.
After they get these passes, they get the phones, they go and sell them, and then they use this money for drugs.
We want to see the governor himself be part of this solution. He must go before the members of the public.
This remains the dream of many people in this area. However, public confidence in the men and women in uniform here has been eroded by accusation of corruption and protecting the criminal gangs.
If there is an officer who is not delivering, who is not taking his work seriously, who is corrupt, let us know those specific police officers so that we can deal with them.
Members of the public and religious leaders are being urged to steer the fight against insecurity in their communities. Francis Mtalaki, KTN News, Mombasa.
All right, and security, of course, right there in Mombasa. Excuse me. And one of the things that sometimes we forget is the fact that when security is okay, we tend to forget that. But of course, in that area, there seems to be gangs that are coming up, and we're waiting to see what the police will do. But security begins with you.
Yes, the major problem with what Mombasa is facing is it's what normally occurs across East Africa when we have the issue with political instability. During electioneering period and after electioneering period, there's always some gap and some state of lawlessness. So this is what encourages those gangs in Mombasa. But as much as the way the people of Mombasa are raising questions to do with drugs and state of unemployment, with the youths being unemployed and jobless, they are easily swayed to join these criminal activities. But the way the leaders are saying, they should come on board and solve the issue as quickly as possible before it gets out of control and it becomes another MRC issue.
Absolutely. Yes. And I guess, well, one could say it's already out of control when you have juveniles being trained and coached by the older ones to form criminals. But of course, one of the things that would help us deal with that is if there was employment. Because one of the things that when you have idle youth, then really they get involved in some of these criminal activities.
Absolutely, because it makes it easier for youth to be radicalized. I think what we need to be concerned about is not necessarily the crime that's being undertaken, it's why youth are being led toward that crime. And a lot of times when we're looking at issues, we forget the why, and we think that we've solved it, but honestly, we've just put a plaster on it for it to reoccur later. And this is an issue not just in Mombasa. Mombasa, drugs are quite rampant. Even sometimes when you're walking on the beach, you can see syringes, and some youth are just high upon levels that you wonder when was the last time they were sober. It's a serious issue, but we're also seeing it in other parts of our country. When we look at even Muranga or Nyeri when it comes to alcohol. So we're seeing a lot of youth losing themselves to drugs.
Absolutely.
And not only that, drugs and crime.
Yeah, and there's a time also Nairobi had a problem of security, especially in the CBD, when there was a number of gangs. We also have noticed that there are street families coming back, and that, of course, has a security angle to it, other than just the social bit of it, where at some point, I remember the street families had been taken from the city and taken somewhere, but that didn't seem to have a follow through, especially when we had Obama coming. There was some project that apparently was being started where they were going to be rehabilitated and taken care of, but that seemed to have not borne any fruit.
For Nairobi's case, somebody is sleeping on the job and needs to be...
And who is that somebody?
Somebody is sleeping on the job.
Name and shame.
Somebody is sleeping on the job, but soon, soon something is going to happen. What I know, there's going to be some shake-up within Nairobi County leadership, and something good is going to come
Well,
out.
there could already be some shake-up. I think there's an article I saw here. I'll try and see whether we can fish it out. But I think I've seen that Mike Sonko fired the financial, I think the person in charge of finances in Nairobi. And this is because of reasons that, well, we're going to look through as we look through the dailies this morning. But there you go. Well, it's now 23 minutes after 6. We need to pay some bills. So we're going to take a short break right here on Morning Express. But do stay with us on